Hey guys, welcome to my channel Miss Recap. The story of the film begins with the child Natasha, who is 10 years old. She was with her father in a nightclub and was happy and enjoying. And we know her parents are separated. Natasha's father was so drunk that night that he forgot to send his daughter home early because she had school in the morning. And after late at night, take her back to her mother's house. Natasha only slept 2 hours and then her mother came to wake her up so she could go to school. Natasha tells her mother that she is still sleepy. Her mom tells her that nightclubs are not for kids. She tells her that if she goes to nightclubs again, she will not let her go out with her father. Natasha told her mother that her father loves her and wants to make her happy, unlike what her mother does. The mother gets angry with Natasha and hits her, but she feels wrong and tries to apologize to her daughter. But Natasha takes her bag and goes to the school. As she walks down the road, a man gets out of a car and kidnaps Natasha. But there was a little girl who was present and witnessed the kidnapping. The kidnapper then takes Natasha to his home. When he entered the house, he put Natasha in an underground room and locked the door on her. Shortly after, Natasha regains consciousness. She found herself in a small, isolated room and it was locked. Then she knew that she had been kidnapped. The person who kidnapped her comes and gets her bed and gets out. Natasha was screaming and trying to make noise for help, but it was useless because Natasha noticed that there was soundproofing in the room. The room had no way out except for a small ventilation hole. 3 days after her kidnapping, the person who kidnapped her, whose name was Wolfgang, comes and brings with him some food and some story books. When he entered the room, Natasha was afraid of him and did not say anything. He read the stories to her and after he finished he wanted to go out. But Natasha asked him to kiss her on the forehead, because she had been used to it by her mother. He was hesitant about it but kissed her on the forehead and walked out. The next day, Wolfgang watches the news of Natasha's kidnapping. His mother was also at home. She comes to him most of the time to cook for him and clean the house. Wolfgang's mother saw the news of the girl's kidnapping and was surprised. She asks her son about who kidnapped this girl. He tells his mother that whoever kidnaps such a child is not sane and will certainly be arrested after a short period. After his mother cleaned and cooked for him, she left the house. Wolfgang goes to Natasha to wash her hair, but Natasha asked him to deliver a message to her mother. And the content of the letter is that Natasha is in good health, because her mother will be worried about her. But he refused and told her that he demanded a ransom from her family, and if they really loved her, they should pay the ransom. He told her that he had notified them, but they did not respond to him. By that, he means that her family does not love her. But she started yelling at him and told him that he was a liar. He could not stand it, so he drowned her with soapy water. Before leaving the room, he asked her to clean the room, and he tells her that if she does not clean the room, he will kill her. One day, Wolfgang, his mother, and his grandmother were sitting in the garden. The police come to the house and ask to search the house because there is a girl who witnessed Wolfgang kidnapping a little girl. After searching, they did not find anything. The police asked him about his whereabouts when the accident occurred, so he told them that he was asleep, so the police left him. In this scene, Natasha was sad because she missed her parents. During this time, Wolfgang enters upon her, and he has food with him. Natasha asks him to get her a watch so that she can count the days and find out how long she is still kidnapped. Indeed, he agrees to that, but he had a condition. The condition was to obey his words. Indeed, she agreed. Then he made a communication device between them. Suddenly Natasha asks him and tells him, "Do you feel lonely like me?" But he did not answer her and left. All night long, Wolfgang thought of Natasha's question and the reason for asking her such a question, but he did not get any answer. And in the morning of a new day we know that he passed the kidnapping of Natasha 183. We see Natasha adjusting to the situation, and she was playing inside the room. It was her role as the professor in the room. After that, she drew a cat on the wall. Wolfgang began communicating with her through the device he placed on the wall, and he asked her to brush her teeth and asked her to do what he asks of her. In fact, she does what he asked of her. And in this scene, Natasha was sticking some food to her hand in order to delude Wolfgang that she was sick with a skin disease. When Wolfgang came to her, she told him that she had a skin disease and that he needed to go to the doctor. But he held her hands and knew it was a trick. When he found out that she was trying to deceive him, he decided to punish her, and he decided not to give her food for 4 days. During these days Natasha drank only water. She was very exhausted and had no energy. Wolfgang talks to her through the device and asks her to abide by orders and not disobey them. Natasha, fearing punishment, agrees. And after 4 years have passed since the kidnapping of Natascha, Natascha was in an unstable condition and started to look pale in the face and also lost weight. Natascha has reached puberty. She asked Wolfgang to go to the bathroom in the house to take a shower and also to see sunlight for the first time since her kidnapping. Indeed, he agrees to that, but he tells her that he has placed explosives on the doors and windows in case she tries to escape. Indeed, Natascha was able to take a shower and also see the sunlight. In this scene we see Wolfgang's mother glimpse a hair on Wolfgang's clothes. She was happy about that because she thought Wolfgang had a girlfriend. We know through this that Wolfgang had a psychological condition and his mother knew about it. But Wolfgang was angry, so he decided to shave all of Natascha's hair. And 1837 days after the kidnapping, which coincided with Christmas Day, Natascha was happy and was wearing a crown on her head, and she started celebrating alone. Suddenly, Wolfgang enters, bringing a camera and gifts, and he asked her to open the gifts that he brought her. When she opened the gifts, Wolfgang would photograph them. The gifts were 3 books. Natascha was overjoyed by the gifts, and they were celebrating together. Natascha asked him to let her call her parents, but he refused, and was angry, and told her to forget her parents, as if they had died, and told her that her new name was Vivi. In this scene, Natascha is helping Wolfgang to renovate her room. So Natascha asked Wolfgang to go out and see the garden of the house. Indeed, he agreed to that, but tied her hands to his own. And when she went out to see the garden with him, suddenly, Wolfgang dragged her into the house and began to treat her very harshly, and he threw food on the ground for her to eat like animals. 29 days after Natascha was kidnapped, Natascha goes out for the first time with Wolfgang to the supermarket. But he threatened her and told her that if she asked anyone for help, he would kill her. And he told her that he carried a gun with him. And when they entered one of the stores, Natascha was looking at the people with a sad look, and she didn't know how to ask for help or escape. Then Wolfgang came and brought paint with him so that they could paint her room, and then they went home. When they arrived, they were working on renovating the room. And after 2175 days have passed since the kidnapping, Natascha saw her room and was very happy with it. In this scene, Natascha was listening to her story on the radio. She learned that her parents thought she had died. Natascha asks Wolfgang why he kidnapped her and why he didn't kidnap anyone else. He told her that he had seen her in a store. She was smiling and eating cookies, and he tells her that he liked her, and because of that he had been digging for 8 months to build a room. Then he kidnaps her and brings her to the room. One day, Natascha decides to commit suicide, so she burns a number of handkerchiefs inside the room. But because of the smoke, she couldn't bear it, so she decided to put out the fire. When Wolfgang learned of the attempt, he beat her. Then Natascha counted how many times Wolfgang would hit her, and she used to write it on tissue paper and put it in a box. And after the passage of 2847 from the kidnapping, on this day Natascha was with Wolfgang to go skating. At first Natascha fell easily because of her light weight, but after some time, she could skate. Natascha was waiting for any opportunity to escape. Natascha tells Wolfgang to go to the bathroom, and when she went into the bathroom, Wolfgang was waiting for her outside. Natascha finds one of the girls in the bathroom and asks her for help. But unfortunately that girl is a foreigner and does not know the language. So Natascha came out of the shower sad, and then she went home with Wolfgang. When they arrived, Wolfgang beat her because he had discovered that she had tried to escape and asked the girl in the bathroom for help. 3096 days after Natascha was kidnapped. This period is about 8 years and 4 months. Wolfgang asked Natascha to help him clean his car. The reason for that was because he wanted to sell his car because he had lost his job and had no money with him. And while Natascha was cleaning the car, she saw the door of the house open. So she took advantage of the opportunity and escaped. And she went to one of the nearby houses. She asked them to tell the police. Fortunately, the police were nearby, and Natascha was happy when she saw them. And she told the police everything and told them that she was Natascha, who was kidnapped 8 years ago. And when Wolfgang learned of Natascha's escape, he went to the train tracks, stood in front of the train, and committed suicide. The police informed Natascha's family that they have found their daughter. The parents were in disbelief, and when Natascha's parents arrived at the police station, they saw their daughter 8 years after her kidnapping. Natascha was in a very difficult situation, and she saw her mother and father. Natascha wasted 8 years of her life because of the madman Wolfgang. The movie ends here. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notification so you can watch more videos like this.